This episode of the Nerdball Podcast is sponsored by Jake Paluski at Real JP Multimedia. He does the music for this podcast. He has produced this podcast. If you need anything audio-visual done, he is the man to see at realjp.com, REELJP.com. Let's start the show.
I'm Scott Buker, and this is the Nerdball Podcast.
This is the Nerdball Podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
Scott Buker, back by popular demand.
I'd like to give a little shout out to George Smith for this one. I found out he was the one requester to bring me back on. So love you, George. You know, I've never been requested before, so I appreciate that. Love to get you on to hear about that spear fishing too, George, if you're listening.
Usually when you get requested to be on a Zoom, it's probably not good.
yeah. When I get I get lots of Zoom requests, that's for sure. But yeah, typically they're not for my job. They're not for the positive interactions. So yeah, this is a good one.
Well, you've been on several times, and as people know, but this is the first one where you're on video. So people who don't know you, this is you, and you have your perfect uniform with your Orioles hat, because we always end up talking about the Orioles, and I'm sure we will
at some point. Too. Yeah, we always do. No baseball this year yet, though. So
I'd like to talk about that. But first, this is your first time on the podcast since the new year. So I know you're a listener, but I'll ask you the question anyway. What is something you've been into lately? Something you've been nerding out about? Something that has taken your a form of a hobby, and you know that it can't be anything related to your job.
Sure. Yeah. So I had to give it some thought, actually. I knew you were going to ask that question. Because hobbies have been real difficult for me.
Because you have a new baby now, too. Congratulations.
Baby, thank you. Yeah, Georgia's 6 weeks old now.
Mm-hmm.
And just creating different systems in my life to balance everything with everything. But, so I really thought of three things, because I knew you were going to ask me this question. And I know you said they couldn't be work-related. One of them I think is indirectly work related, but I think it's more like me personally related.
Okay.
It's kind of like a long time nerding out thing I have this weird fascination with, what makes ultra successful people successful for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. Like the sustainability of success has always been an interest of mine. And so I read a lot about that. So I'm a big reader. And I think the running joke with people who know me at work is I read all these self-help books all the time. And I like to coin them leadership books.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say it's self-help books. So I'm really been into, you're one of two podcasts I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is Ryan Hawk. And that kind of fits into where I'm going with this. I've just read both of his books. So Ryan Hawk is I think you and I have talked briefly about him.
Yes.
So he has turned into a full-time podcaster with the Learning Leader Show. Definitely encourage people to check it out. It's been huge. He's got, just tons of guests on from all different areas. So, and really answering that question that I have been searching for like 10 years now is what makes people consistently successful and excel in whatever their chosen field of endeavor is.
Mm-hmm.
So he's come out with two books. I just finished one book. I'm reading the other one right now, along with doing his podcast. So that's been kind of like a long-term nerd out thing.
What do you think? Because you talked about long-term success, like the sustainability of it. What is? I know it can be different for a lot of different people, but for you, like, what's success? Like what makes you like, hey, I'm being successful right now?
That's a great question. I think it's, just kind of that having that inner balance, between everything, having like all the circles of your life, perfectly centered. Mm-hmm. Is probably the best way I can do that, because that's something I struggled with a lot. Early on when I took the administrative job was, creating that balance between, hey, what's the job, versus what's home, versus what's for myself, what's, the other relationships I have in my life. And, something that I've worked really hard on over the last year and a half that I'm particularly proud of is coming up with that system to create that balance, with it. that you don't take the job home with you,
Mm-hmm.
that you give the other things in your lives the time, the attention that needs to have. And a lot of that came with the you had to do that, or I had to do that because of Alice. She's 3 now. And then Georgia being born here more recently. But also, in terms of the relationship with Lindsay, my wife, and relationship with, friends, other people, and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of like, because if you don't have that balance, I don't think you can have sustainable success in anything that you do. You know what I'm saying?
And even with kids, it's not like, hey, I set up the schedule. You're like, no, the schedule's set. I got to figure out how I fit in with it, because this is when we eat dinner. This is when the kids go to bed. That's stuff for them, and how am I fitting into this to make sure I'm a part of everything?
For sure. And I think everybody's like I said, with my career, administratively, the administrative team in the district that I work in, I'm one of the younger ones. And so I'm at a different life point than many of the other of my colleagues are. A lot of my colleagues have kids that are older. Their kids don't want them to come home and play Barbies for 2 hours as their wife fixes dinner. Mine does. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to miss those things. So ultimately, I think that's a lot of it. The driving force of it is, understanding that balance and keeping centered with that, having that peace of mind, and not making things bigger in my job than they need to be. So something I'm proud of. And, so you kind of prioritize the different things. You prioritize a lot with that, with, the health, the nutrition, the sleep habits. And what I found, Lorenzo, is over the last year and a half, I realized how much time I actually wasted on stupid stuff that I didn't need to. Like, I don't really need to watch that Monday Night Football game. Unless it's the Packers. The Packers are one of my guilty pleasures. I love the Packers, absolutely. I don't need to watch the Texans versus the Chiefs or something like that.
Yeah.
So I cut off a lot of, I don't watch TV, TV shows very, very rarely. You just kind of cut a lot of that stuff out, which is nice. So for me, that's worked.
So but then do you, because some people do that to, and I guess that's part of the nerdy not question, because some people do that, like, hey, I'm gonna watch every Monday night football game because that's the only time I get to watch TV or whatever, because it makes me feel good, but it sounds like you get that feeling through the first thing you talked about with the podcast and the reading and everything. You still get that fulfillment. For me,
100%. I mean, I'm a big reader. Like I said, I read books. I mean, I read 30, 40 books a year. I mean, for me, that's what that is. Now, every now and then there's like a TV show that Lindsay and I both really like, and that's some time for us. And I'm kind of circling all the way back to the nerdy out question. I said there are kind of multiple things. That was like the long-term thing that I've always got this increased fascination with. But the more short-term thing is the last 2 weeks, the Winter Olympics.
Oh, really?
Lindsay and I watch every night together.
You're the one watching it. So
yeah, I am. So yeah, we're the one viewer in the United States that's watching this. So I really enjoy the Winter Olympics from a short-term nerd out type of thing. I watched the closing ceremonies live this morning, actually, before everybody woke up.
Oh, wow. What's your favorite winter events that you like?
All the sled stuff. So the luge, the skeleton, the bobsled, the 2-man. They just started at the 1-man bobsled this year.
Was it mono bob or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So the speed skating, really like that. The hockey, obviously, even without the NHL guys this year. So those are the ones that I'm really kind of gravitate towards, because I've always asked the question: how do you become a bobsledder, or how do you become an athlete in the luge?
Yeah.
And then you realize that all these guys are track stars, essentially, and basically aren't fast enough to make the careers out of track. So they kind of gravitate over to some of this other stuff.
It's like college. Yeah, it's like college offensive linemen who don't make it in the NFL, but they become pit crew guys for NASCAR or racing because they can do all that stuff.
Or the high school football players are going to play college football, so he becomes a male cheerleader. That type of thing. So Winter Olympics has been like the more recent in the moment nerding out type of stuff. So
there was and we were at a restaurant, so I had to like read it wasn't even subtitles. I was just like reading when they do like stories on people, they'll have things that pop up on the screen or whatever, and you're reading it. So I read about this woman. She was in the one person bobsled. She was Canadian, and something happened. There was some allegations that she made, like, hey, there's this stuff happening with the Canadian bobsled organization. Nothing was really taking place, and so she's like, I can't come back. And she was really good. She's like, I can't come back. So she got her citizenship card to be a United States citizen. And it just so happened, I mean, they were doing a story because she was in this race, and we watched it, and I watched her win gold for the United States.
No way.
Yeah, because she's like, I'm not going back to Canada in that environment. I'm taking myself out of that, and came back, and she won the race. She won the gold medal with a Canadian bobsled. I mean, she's covered in tattoos, but one of them is a Canadian bobsled tattoo that she had. They showed it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, good for her for like sticking to her values and, like, and not, going off course and just because she couldn't do it in Canada because she didn't believe in the value system or whatever's going on, that she just didn't give up on the dream. She worked on an alternative.
Yeah.
Keep it going. So good for her.
I thought it was pretty cool. And then, I don't know. I was talking to Andrea Mateo about it when we were eating, and but afterward I'm like, wait, this whole cool story just happened, and we just watched her win a gold medal. It's crazy.
Yeah. Imagine how that stuff works out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I never would have turned it on at my house, and it just so happened. And I think it's a cool story.
Yeah, for sure. No, the Olympics are filled with kind of those, those neat things. Shaun White coming back, and
the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah, they qualified first time 24 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the not so successful runs of Michaela Schifrin, the skier, and heavy favorite in all of her events, and I think she did not finish the DNF in 3 of them. So
yeah, I heard about. Yeah, I didn't see her or any of her races, but I heard about it, and then I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but that she's pretty, and I think this comes with all great athletes, right? She was like really arrogant or whatever, and I don't know anything about her. So like the way the announcers were talking about her rubbed people the wrong way too. Like they were really, I guess, giving it to her as far as like when she DNF'd a bunch of stuff.
Oh really? Yeah. I mean, I don't know much about her, but I just knew she was the favorite coming in. She's kind of like the darling, that Lindsey Vonn was a few years back, and but yeah, I just didn't ended the way she wanted it to.
No. So you, for my if I'm remembering correctly, a lot of times the Olympics start before the opening ceremonies, and they're still continuing after the closing ceremonies. Is that still a thing? Is that still happening?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm a little confused about that too, because I remember when the opening ceremony started. Like, I don't know so the whole time change is confusing, because they're in China, right? And so like I was watching the closing ceremonies live this morning, and it clearly said live.
Yeah.
But then there'll obviously be events today. So I'm not sure if like these are like, I mean, there's a mixture of like pre-recorded, type of thing for TV purposes for the American audience. But I think there are some events that finish up after and they start before.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like high school track meets where people usually leave after their event, especially like invitationals. They might hang out a little bit more. Yeah. But then at the end, when you present a trophy to the winning team and there's like 8 people there.
Yeah. That's kind of like, well, I mean, they can't have fans anyway. So the whole thing's been like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like I turned on, we were watching hockey the other day, and, I like watching hockey, and Lindsay comes down and she's on it. She watches it for like 3 seconds. She goes, "This sucks without fans."
Yeah. Where you been at the past 2 years? Everything.
Yeah. I shouldn't watch sports, so she doesn't know.
That's true, yeah. You don't realize how much you need that, and I think it was the NBA figured it out when they did the bubble, and they were pumping in noise and having like fans on screens and stuff, and because that adds a lot to it. Otherwise, it's like I'm not into this at all.
The only sport that made no difference was baseball, because it's like no difference.
And even they had some sound in there too.
Yeah. And the cardboard cutouts in the stands and stuff like that. But
yeah, I remember I thought about buying one, and I was like, what are the chances? What are the chances we're gonna see it too, though?
yeah, for sure. I thought about it. If the Orioles did that, I probably would have done it.
Yeah.
And then the A's did the competition. If you bought one and a ball hit it, they would send it to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of baseball, I don't know if it's gonna happen because of the strike. Do you pay attention to any of the fighting? Like why are they striking?
Labor negotiations. I mean, a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm not an expert by any means of it. You know, you get frustrated because baseball is, you feel like you hear about this a lot.
Yeah.
Baseball, but in reality, you know, they've been peaceful since like '94, I think. But you just always kind of feel like you hear the tensions between the two sides over and over and over again. And so I know like the gist of kind of what their dispute is, but I wouldn't be like in a position to educate any of your diehard viewers here on it. So basically players want more money and the owners are saying, no, we want more money.
Yeah. And well, it stinks because baseball is like, along with hockey, the one sport that can't afford to not be on because it's already losing people, viewers.
Yeah, for sure. But like, I can't remember if it was you I had this conversation with just the other day when I saw you or somebody else. Really the best thing that baseball has going for them is the fact that their game is played in the summertime.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, right? I mean, because what percentage of people would you say go to a baseball game to actually watch the game compared to just it's a social event? Sit outside in the sun, have a few beers, and enjoy the social aspect of it. That's what baseball is going for it, and that's why I don't think they'll lose like your diehard fans. But I think that is such a small percentage of the people who actually go to the game now, where I think they'll still be okay because of the casualness of it. And, let's go outside, let's get the group of 12 people and enjoy the atmosphere more than anything. So,
well, I know when the last time we went, this was a few years ago now. I mean, I think maybe 3, me and Andrea and the kids went and we watched a half an inning because we spent the entire time at this kids area where the Guardians, play. And it's awesome. And that's all we did. We sat down for a half an inning to eat some ice cream and it worked out perfectly for me because we saw an Indians hit a home run, the Guardians hit a home run and it was cool. So then we went back and, left early and all that stuff. But yeah, but you're right. Like we went there to hang out. And, and the kids love
that's one thing. The biggest difference is between baseball and the other sports. I mean, I feel like for football, I mean, you're there to watch a game, right? I mean, everybody's into it. I mean, every game counts a lot more, so it's more intense. Basketball, I haven't been in an NBA game in years, but the games I went to at that time, I feel the same way. Everybody's into it. Everybody stays in their seat and watches. NHL games, once again, haven't been one in years. You stay in your seat and watch it. Baseball, I just feel like it's very much more, a higher population of people are there for the atmosphere and just hanging out and doing different things and being outside and stuff like that. And I think maybe, and this is just my opinion, I think the owners know that. So I think the owners kind of like, well, as soon as we come back, I mean, we're going to lose 15% of our fans because they're upset that they dispute, but the other 85% are still going to come.
Yeah.
Because they want to be outside and they want the social experience for it. So,
what do you think that lends to how the games are played? I mean, football, basketball, hockey, it's like constant stuff, and baseball's always been like not relaxed, but more like I can miss a few pitches, or the perceived notion of like I don't have to sit there and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I think I think baseball is just, I think probably people have probably involved more than the sport has. I think people are more gravitated towards needing like more things happening at one time and more interaction and more fast pace type of things,
or even the music and the screens and all that stuff too.
Exactly. I mean, you kind of look at that in entertainment. I mean, how often do you sit and watch TV with Andrea and you're watching a show, but she's checking her phone at the same time, or you're checking your phone at the same time? You need multi stimuli kind of going on because that's kind of like the natural path of where people have gone, right? And things like football and hockey and basketball, there's so much other stuff happening away from the ball too. And it's a lot, like we said, it's a lot faster paced. I mean, baseball, I mean, you just don't have that. I mean, the left fielder is doing what you're doing. I mean, sometimes to the casual fan. I mean, to the casual fan, other people know that the left fielder is looking at, looking at the calls and they're planning, they're kind of plotting, I got to take 3 steps this way because of, this is a slider going outside on it or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But I just don't think the majority of people understand that and nor really care to for that stuff. So I just think it's the nature of where it's at. I mean, I don't know if like the changing the pace of play is going to help.
I don't think so either.
Because like I said, I think most people who go to the game don't go to the game for the game. I think they go it for the other reasons. And, I can't remember who I was talking to. I think maybe it was Justin Funk that you guys talking to about this. But I think ultimately what you're going to see is more of the major league stadiums kind of operate more like minor league stadiums with, all the different like gimmicks going on and, things like that for the attention to get the, people more interested. So I think you're going to see more of that probably, manifests in the coming years.
I tell you what, I love giveaways, man. We always try. I mean, going up. Sure. I know my dad, when we would buy tickets, we would look at that, and he would just buy tickets to certain games, to the teams they're playing, but they were always on. A lot of them were on the Sundays where they hand stuff out to kids. Even now when we go, like, hey, there's 2 weekends in this month. You want to try to go? We're like, okay, well, what are they giving away? Just because it's. Yeah. I mean, I have all this junk behind me. That's just a lot of it's just giveaway stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I remember I went to an Oriole game years ago. Actually with my sister. Before my sister was married, and I was in college, and we had stayed at a hotel outside Camden Yards because she lived in DC at the time. And it was a 1:00 game, and I remember looking out the window of the hotel. We could see the stadium at like 9:00 in the morning, and it was the Nick Markakis replica jersey giveaway day, and it was for like the first like 10,000 fans or something like that. And the lines to get in the Camden Yards were already like hundreds deep at like 9:00 in the morning. I'm like, what the hell? They're awful too. I mean, so these people are there.
Did you get one?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Sure. Before we go, do you have a shade on that window behind you? Or blinds or anything?
I actually don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine.
I'll go on my computer, maybe. Is that better?
Yeah, that's fine. It's not a big deal. It was just that's perfect. There you go. Stick your big head in front of that.
Awesome. So what happened? This room's a funny story, actually.
Is it under construction or what?
Kind of, yeah. So for about a year and a half, Lindsay we were looking at new houses, a bigger house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bigger house. She's saying this house is too small.
Mm-hmm.
I love this house.
And there's like 8 bedrooms in a house. So
yeah. There's 4. That's a good point there. So there's 4 bedrooms in the house. At the time there's only 3 of us.
Okay. Yeah.
And she kept saying we needed more space. We looked at like a dozen houses in Perrysburg. And some gigantic houses that I remember just thinking to myself, not only like how are we going to afford this, but the other thing is how are we there's all space. It's just huge. So nothing like kind of like fit the characteristics that we currently have with our location, because we really like our location. It's an established, a mature neighborhood with tree growth. There's nobody behind us. It's just kind of like the woods, whatever. Good neighbors, sidewalks connect neighborhoods to neighborhoods. We could walk downtown. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately we decided, let's stay, utilize our space better, and kind of invest into our own house. So that's what we decided to do. So one of the things that I had recommended was, the basement. I think you've been down my basement before.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like my area. I had the big couch, the TV, had a bunch of my sports stuff on the wall, had my office down there with the desk and all my stuff. So we ripped all that stuff out, and it made me purge like everything, and turn that into the playroom for the girls.
Sure.
So everything is like Barbie stuff's all down there.
Oh yeah.
We have a little section of that for like a workout room. We've got a Peloton and a tread and some weights and stuff like that down there. So anyways, we still said like we need some type of like little home office to do stuff. So the room I'm in right now previously was Lindsay's music room with her guitars and her keyboard and stuff like that. And
she plays music. I didn't even know she did.
Oh yeah, she plays everything: banjo, guitar, piano,
I need
violin,
her on the podcast.
drums. Oh yeah, she's very musically inclined.
Nice, that's cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So did she have to purge her stuff?
No.
Is that why there's a Vespa in the garage still?
That's why there's a Vespa in the garage still. So we'll get there. So anyway, so I'm actually, this right here is a door to the closet. This was a bedroom.
Okay.
Door to a closet. So I took this little closet and made it into an office. So I put like a countertop in and have like the 6 things that survived the basement in here with me in the closet office. Yeah. So all of my stuff got reduced to whatever I could fit in this little office closet right here. And this is my stuff. This is it. That's all that's left. Everything else has been purged.
No, I get it, man. Same thing. Stuff everywhere, all in my basement, and it didn't last very long. And I decided, like, hey, I can't do this. So I left with the wall behind me, and it's really just the shelf behind me and a few things, and then everything else is stored in boxes until the kids go.
Yeah, well, just end up just being clutter. Stuff that I kept stuff that was meaningful to me, and other stuff that wasn't, which felt good. To be honest with you. And cleared up a lot of space. So we had to move Alice into the other bedroom that was our guest bedroom. So this also serves as a guest bedroom too, because we have a little bed in here. So if people need to come in, they can do that. I just shut these closet doors.
Nice.
My office right there. So
I can't get rid of anything, man. I have so much stuff. I have things I made, like this thing right behind me. This Longhorns thing was like an old practice jersey that I like cut apart when I was probably like 16 or something. I cut apart and put it on this whatever. It's not even cardboard. It's like it's almost like a cork board.
Okay.
But there's so much stuff I can get rid of, and I just can't, man. I look at it and I know some stuff. I know, like, oh, my dad, this is from my dad, or when he went to Texas. I think there's one of the blue bottles is a aluminum Bud Light bottle from when the Spurs won the championship, but I have like a dozen of them, like.
What do you need a dozen for?
I don't know.
Keep one. I mean,
I have no idea. There's two of the same ones on the shelf, and then I think I have more. I think there's another case of 24 bottles of because they recently started using their old Fiesta colors, the pink and the green and orange. So there's like a case of aluminum bottles of those because they're cool colors.
That was like at one point I cleaned out like a room in our laundry room that had a whole bunch of like water bottles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There had to be like 35, 40 cups, like the nice cups you buy at a baseball football game for like Pepsi or beer or something like that. Like buttons and the walleye.
The ones when you're like 8 and you're going around the stadium picking them up after the game. Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have like 40 of these? Threw them all away.
Dude, I probably have 100 of them. Yes. I have so many because and they're not just like, hey, this is when I went to the game last year. This is from 25 years ago when I went to a game,
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was like, I don't understand why I have all these. So I got rid of a bunch of that stuff.
It's so hard. The kids stuff. Andrea's pretty good about not keeping like kids every single thing the kids bring home from school. She's really good at that. My mom was really bad. Like even today, to this day, there's big totes of papers and just a random everything we did in school is saved. And Andrew's really good about throwing stuff away, but she has to be strategic about it because if Lillian sees her throw something away, she gets upset about it. She goes, why are you throwing that away? Like it's just math.
We've just started the tote thing with Alice. So, she does a lot of like pictures when she's over at Maggie's house. And so actually under the bed right there, we've got like 3 totes full of like all of her artwork, which is just scribbles. You gotta take that same energy of you purging your stuff. It's gotta, and I'm sure it might be more Lindsay than you, but you got to start early because once you start it makes it a little easier. But so it's the funny part. I kind of circling all the way back to like, let's utilize our space better in the house.
Sure,
we have the storage room downstairs. I literally cleaned out all my stuff. I had a bunch of stuff, no doubt about it, and I got rid of so much of it. And so Lindsay was down there a couple months ago. She goes, "Hey, we really need to go through the rest of the stuff in the basement." I'm like, "What do you mean we?" I said, "I already went through all my stuff. Everything in there is yours." you need to start going through. But that hasn't happened yet.
She's just had a baby. Give her time.
I'll give her a few more weeks.
Few more weeks, yeah.
Maternity leave for 6 weeks. What's she been doing? Just kidding.
I know. That's funny though.
Yeah, no, Lindsay actually doesn't really keep a whole lot to begin with, but she's pretty, she's pretty good with that. Other than the Vespa sitting in the garage.
Another thing too, I moved them out of my dresser because I didn't have room, but all old T-shirts.
Yeah.
I have so many of those, and now they're in a giant vacuum seal bag in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
But I have stuff from when we were in high school, when I started coaching football, all kinds of stuff. And there's just another thing that I can't get rid of. Like, or you think like, hey, my mom's really good at making T-shirt blankets. Maybe she'll do something with those. But then I just realized my mom has like 30 years worth of shirts that she kept in case she ever wanted to make something.
The same thing was told to me. Never happened.
Yeah.
This is why I did. This is funny. So I a couple of years ago, I boxed up the same thing, like dozens of shirts that it just stockpiles over the years, and I brought them into school because we have that, with students with significant needs, we have like that independent living lab with like washing machines and dryers and stuff like that. So part of what they do, our teachers work with them and teach them how to do these functional life skills. So I brought all these clothes for them to use, for those purposes. And so what ends up happening though is the kids go to like gym class and get really sweaty or have an accident. So I see kids walking around school if I'm wearing my old shirts. I'm like, it's one of mine. And then one of the funnier moments was years and years and years ago. A guy I knew, brought me back a pair of, you're going to love these. They're breakaway pants, Indiana Hoosier candy cane stripes.
Really?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like, sweet, but like, now I'm like, when am I going to wear these?
Yeah.
I'm not going to wear these. So that was in like that donation box, that I brought up to the class. So we have a guy that works for us up there who now actually does our ADP program, younger guy, really, really cool, full of energy. Last year, 2 years ago, he was up there and found them and put them on and ran down. And he goes, I can't believe you gave these things away, and wore them all day at school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I first started coaching track at the junior high, I walked into the little locker room there, and I saw your locker, and there was like 30 shirts in there, it looked like.
Oh, they're still there. Yeah, those are all like old football shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I'm there, you never know. I could be there working out or something like that, or doing something outside. I need to change shirts. So I just stockpile. I still have all that stuff there. Yeah.
Do you?
Oh yeah, sure do.
That's what I have. Well, I have 2 lockers in a coach's office. I don't have a bunch of clothes, but one's like I use it as like a file cabinet because there's just all kinds of paperwork and stuff in there, and from years of stuff. And if I ever have to find out, hey, how do we run this play? And I'm sure there's papers in there that have stuff or old scripts and that kind of stuff. And then the other one has my clothes and stuff in it, but I still end up losing things. Did you ever, this just reminded me because I was talking about my locker. I keep extra wristbands in there too. I always have extra wristbands. And one time this past season, we were going to BG and I forgot my wristbands, and I'm freaking out because like, that's my job, man. That's my job.
That's your job on Friday nights.
Yeah. So luckily one of our coaches was driving separate, and Paul Patterson was driving separate. I called him. I go, hey man, I have an extra pair in my locker. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll grab them. And then he calls me back. He goes, it's locked. I can't get in the Huskinson Center. I'm like, oh no. So then I was like,
that's definitely a Perrysburg problem.
Yeah. So that
in the locker room.
Yeah. So then I go into or I asked him, I was like, is there a soccer team out there? I'm sure they got keys. And luckily soccer coaches out there, and he was able to get in. But I was panicking, and I called Andrea. I was like, Andrea, there's got to be something around the house. I was like, I got green wristbands. At least bring those, and we can figure something out.
Yeah.
But in your coaching, was there anything you're like, this is the one thing I can't forget, and you're like, and you forget it? Was there anything?
Never happened. I would tell you what, Lorenzo, and you can ask Lindsay this. I'm like so incredibly OCD on stuff.
Yeah.
Like I double check triple check, quadruple check stuff. I mean, Lindsay gets so frustrated at me because if we leave together just to go to the grocery store, that as we pull out of our street, I'm always looking back to make sure the garage door's shut.
Oh, really?
Every time. And she goes, shut, just leave it alone. So
how many times do you check to make sure you have the baby?
That I'm pretty confident that one. So it's pretty confident. Yeah. But it's the little stuff. I mean, it's just like, I mean, even like before I go to work every morning, like, as you know, like talked about earlier, I'm such a structured person of habit and routine. You know, it's always, all right, keys in this pocket. You know, at the time when we were wearing masks in this pocket, you know, everything's in my book bag. They need to go. Yeah, I don't think I ever had that because I was so just kind of like ingrained, you know, to that.
Yeah.
You know, I think at one point in my track coaching career, I always have like at least two tape measures from a jump perspective.
Yeah.
And I think one time I let somebody borrow it, like the pole vaulters borrow one of my tape measures. I practiced the day before and they didn't bring it back to me. And then I didn't realize that. And when I got to the meet, I only had one. So my long jumpers only had one. And then I didn't have anything with my high jumpers. I'm like, oh, shoot, where's it? And then like, oh, that's right. You know, someone took it for vault and they had it with them.
So that was like, yeah, that was the, I was so scared. I mean, I wasn't going to get in trouble or nothing, but I mean, like you said, on Friday nights, that's what I do. And I did that. So now I have
the first thing you check though, like, all right, this is my one job Friday nights got them.
There's so much other, like, because I'm responsible for the huddle stuff, like I got to get that on the van and everything. So there's so much stuff happening. I just assume that they're in my bag. Mm-hmm. And so now I have an extra pair in my bag. There's an extra pair in my locker. Yeah. And then every Friday I always pack one. So there's two in my bag, you know? So, you know, when you make mistakes, you better learn from them and figure out.
Along the same line. So a couple of years ago, actually, this would be like March, right before the pandemic hit. They sent me and another group of administrators to Savannah, Georgia for this training. And we left at different points. So I'm up with another one of the administrators and we're flying together from Detroit to Atlanta and then landed in Savannah. And we're just making small talk. And they were telling me how when they, and in a previous, you know, time they traveled, they got stuck in Chicago and like their flight got canceled, whatever it is. And they didn't have another pair of contacts. So they had to wear their glasses or whatever. Something happened. So the story was they kept telling me like whenever they travel anywhere, they always make sure they bring all these extra sets of contacts with them, and in case, you know, something happens, that way they're able to see. And I was like, well, just wear your glasses, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, instead of like packing, you know, 20 extra pairs of contacts, just wear your glasses.
Yeah, I did that. I did it because I hate wearing my glasses. Yeah, I don't like wearing my glasses. So when we went to Disney World this past after Christmas, I packed a bunch of my suitcase and then the same amount in my carry-on in case something happened with my suitcase. So I always had, because I wear dailies, so I just throw them out.
I do, yeah.
So because I don't want to be on a ride with my glasses either. But I do not wear my glasses, and I go through contacts a little bit faster now because usually Sundays is when we don't go anywhere. So I'll just wear my glasses all day. But now because I do the podcast, I put my contacts on first thing in the morning because I'm not going to be on a podcast with my glasses. It didn't happen.
That's all right.
I've had glasses since I was 8, and once I figured out like, oh, contacts are, this is awesome, then that's what I can't wait to get. I want LASIK surgery. I can't wait to get that.
Yeah.
Yep. Scott. Hold on.
Oh no, I think he froze.
Oh, there
he is.
All right, we're back. All right.
You're back. All right.
You were just about to say something about after I said LASIK.
Yeah. So I've had.
No, this is horrible.
Here. But my eyes really haven't. What was that?
I said we keep cutting out. That's never happened. It's never. No, yeah, I do, but it keeps cutting in and out, so I don't know what's going on. So
all right.
We'll try to start. Yeah.
So I got glasses third grade.
Yep.
Right. Contacts going into my freshman year, like life changing, you know?
Yeah.
And then my eyes really haven't changed since. So the eye doctor keeps telling me for years, you're the perfect person for LASIK.
Yeah.
Perfect. Your textbook, your eyes don't change. You're perfect. And every year I just say, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And finally just gave up asking me, but he always continuously says I was the perfect candidate for LASIK surgery. But anyways, side funny story. He said you didn't want to lose your glasses at Disney World, right?
Yeah.
So remember Matt Hollinger?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So Matt went to Disney World a couple of years back with his kids, and on Space Mountain, he had a flip phone, lost his cell phone on Space Mountain. And so he goes to like customer service and said, I lost it. And they're like, we're never going to find it, And so he had to leave his info, just in case.
Mm-hmm.
About 8 months later, he gets a package in the mail from Disney, and it's his cell phone.
Oh, really?
And they sent him a pair of Mickey Mouse ears with it.
Man, that is lucky. Yeah. I don't know what's more funny about the story, that he got a pair of Mickey ears or that he had a flip phone.
Oh yeah, for sure. But both are equally as funny.
Although I had a flip phone for a long time. I don't know why I didn't get a smartphone, because once I got one, I'm like, I'm stupid. I should have got one of these a long time ago.
Yeah.
Even there's old guys at work. That have their work phones or flip phones.
Yeah.
And there's some stuff we have to do on our phones. Like we have to do our safety talks are on our phones now. Or he's like, well, I can't do that. I guess I don't have to worry about it. I said, no, we got an iPad, shop iPad. Yeah. You can definitely still do the safety talks.
So we have a guy at work who, he's a rehire, great guy. But he always had a flip phone up until about 2 years ago. And we kind of like, rib him a little bit for it. And all of a sudden he gets a smartphone. And I was like, Jim, how come you got a smartphone? And he goes, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, come on, tell me why you got it. You're so anti-smartphone. He goes, he went to get his haircut at Smart Choice. And he goes, they stopped taking walk-ins and phone reservations. You got to do everything through the app. And I didn't have the app. So I went and got a smartphone just so he could get his haircut reservations.
Man, whatever gets you into technology, but that's crazy, man.
Yeah, for sure, right?
I would have thought maybe he was like, all right, well, I'm going somewhere else to get my haircut then, I guess. Because I'm sure there's places you can still walk in, but
he's very sensitive about his hair.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Before we wrap up, I think there was always a question I want to ask you, and I don't know if you can answer it to the full extent of what I'm looking for. But what do you think? And this is I think going back to success at the beginning, we're talking about, and even talking about schools and stuff before the podcast. What do you think? And maybe you can just equate it to where you're at, the junior high. But what do you think the best thing that Perrysburg Schools does for its students?
That's a great question.
Or tries to do. Maybe there's something that like, hey, we're doing this thing to better whatever portion of the student body.
Yeah, I think it's more anything. I think we're trying, and I don't think I don't think this is something that you can ever fully obtain, if that makes sense. But I think it's giving opportunities is probably the biggest thing. And whether those opportunities are, academic based or career field based, but opportunities to expose kids to a lot of different things, to find out whatever it is that makes them tick. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's like, to me, that's the biggest thing is, particularly as kids get older, the branches of those opportunities, definitely go out there. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes there is, and we've talked about this before, there's kind of in our community, there is that, underlying pressure that if you go to Perrysburg, that you should go to college and you need to have a college education and things like that. And that's, it's, really not the case anymore. And I think we're starting to, branch out and show kids there's opportunities outside college, and college isn't necessarily the route to go for a lot of different things. But a lot of times what I talk to kids at the junior high level is this, my biggest thing for them, because I mean, believe it or not, we have junior high kids who don't see the relevance in their school right now. But my biggest thing, I talk to kids about this is, and I say, listen, I fully understand that you don't feel connected necessarily with finding slope intercept form in your math class. I get that. However, my goal for you is by the time you walk across the stage for graduation is you have options on to get to do whatever it is that you want to do. And I think it's a shame when kids don't have options and are told this is what you have to do now. And meaning, by that, and I tell kids, I tell kids this story. I tell kids that, when I taught the high school for years and years and years, on graduation day, I would always have to be one of them that sits back on stage, not out with the rest of the teachers, really just to make sure everything's, going well backstage and stuff like that. Yeah. And there's been several kids who've walked across stage. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder what that kid's going to be doing, next year, because whatever reason it is, maybe the kid got in a lot of trouble in school. Maybe, the kid didn't take things seriously, got their diploma. However, because of choices that they've made prior to, they don't have a lot of options to them.
Yeah.
On what to do. And, and maybe the grades aren't good enough to go to college. Maybe, their discipline record was so extreme that the military isn't an option for them. The apprenticeship program isn't the way to go. They didn't take opportunities at Penna or whatever it might be. It's like, what are these kids going to do? And, so I thought to a lot of kids is, my goal is when you walk on stage is whatever it is that you want to do, you have that opportunity to do that. If you want to go to college, you can go to college. If you want to go right into a career, in whether it's construction or welding, cosmetology, whatever it might be, you are able to do that. If you want to go in the military, you have the resources to do that. And then also understanding what type of lifestyle do you want to live is because we're seeing this change a lot too, where it's a lot of younger people aren't necessarily attracted to a career. They're attracted to a lifestyle and want to live this type of lifestyle. I want to live a lifestyle where I can set my own schedule, where I don't have to work for somebody else. I want to go an entrepreneur route where I want the ability to, if I want to go take a yoga class at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, to be able to do that. Okay. So that's the lifestyle you want to live. What are the means to get that lifestyle? So to circle that all the way back around, we need to expose you as a student to all the different experiences that are going to help you make those decisions. So whether that is academics, arts, theater, music, athletics, career fields, and then the academics is you never know what's going to click to gain that exposure. I said, you might not like slope intercept form right now, but in May, you might do, some geometry-based concepts. Ooh, this clicks with me now. Okay, what are some other things I could do with geometry-based stuff? This is what you can do here. And junior high kids have a hard time with, because that's, I think, a tough concept for about 85% of our kids. High school kids, I think, is when you start seeing that come to realization, with that. So I think that's probably the best thing we do, but I don't think that's ever going to be something that we're going to sit back as a final product and say, hey, we've accomplished this. Because those interests are always going to change with kids. The patterns with kids and employment and life and stuff like that are always going to change. So that's kind of on us to continue to adapt to the ever-changing world that we're living in, which in education is hard. I mean, this, and, by and large, everything adjusts and evolves and everything like that. But by and large, the landscape of education has stayed pretty consistent all the way through, by and large. So that's something that, I think we do really well. I'm proud of that we do that, but also we have to continue to work with it as we progress.
Was there something? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like the idea of, especially because my kids go to schools and here, and your kids will go to Perrysburg schools, and to know like there's a lot of things out there that they can experience, and it's not here's this one track mind, because a lot of parents think, well, you have to go to college but you get to pick what you do. We're like, well, is that really, I mean, is that really options, like yeah, you're giving me an option, kind of giving me a career choice, but maybe it's not, college isn't the thing. Was there when we were in school, was there a thing that you being in Perrysburg schools now, was there a thing that you wish was available back when we were in school that there is now, or maybe something that you wish you would have taken advantage of?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing I wish I would have taken advantage of was being more involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was in high school, I know we were good friends in high school, but I was very much introverted. I would say you
were pretty quiet. Yeah.
An introverted person, very self-conscious, probably not as much self-confidence that probably I do now, going through everything I've gone through now. And I wasn't willing to put myself out there in high school as much as I wish I would have. So, I mean, I really wish I would have gotten, more involved in like student council, things like that. Even like the DECA program was very early in our years there. I thought it was really cool that when we were there, they had the DECA sports marketing program specifically. With that, and I think Jimmy may have been in that.
Yeah, he was in there. Yep.
Those type of things that I wish I would have been more involved in. I wish I would have realized how much more it would have benefited me to have pushed myself academically in my coursework than what I did. I remember kind of having the mindset of I'm going to do everything I can to set myself up to have a really easy senior year. And I did.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that one for me is a big thing too. Just academically, like, hey, I could have done a lot better than my 2.3,
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't do bad in school by any means.
Sure. I mean, you were, it's not like you were, anything you did, you were a smart kid in high school. I mean, you're still smart now that you're dumb now, but
thanks for clarifying.
I mean, you never got in trouble. You did everything you were supposed to do. So you were I think a good example of like what a student should be, besides the fact that in your, from what you're saying, you weren't as involved as maybe other people.
I think part of the, in all honesty, I don't think maybe I was the good example of what a student should be, because I didn't push myself as much. I was very okay with being comfortable. And it's one of those things where, you wish you knew what you wish you knew then, what you knew now.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And we've done a lot of things differently. Not that I regret anything that I did, but I left a lot on the table.
Yeah.
With different things. I wish, when we were in school, we would have programs like they have now, like the robotics and the STEM level stuff that they have, to the ability that they have now.
So maybe if we had some of those things, maybe that's what would have opened you up to like oh, this cool thing, and maybe it would have opened you up to something else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough question, but I just think having all those different types of opportunities would have been nice. And but I think definitely, that's one of the things I tell kids right now is get involved. And kids, you hear it and they don't know what that means, and they have the same mindset that I had, with it. Because getting involved really opens up the doors and open windows. You meet different people and you create relationships, and you meet different people from different backgrounds and different perspectives, and you work together for a common goal, with all things. And that's where like true kind of like growth comes into play. And maturity, as an individual. So I think that's probably the number one thing I would have done, is just, and continue to recommend, is to get more involved and to push yourself, to, and instill those small routine, those habit-based type of stuff as a student, because it really helps you out moving forward.
I like, I mean, I did sports in high school a lot. That's pretty much all I did. And, I played football. Obviously, I played basketball for St. Rose, but I like the aspect of with track, I like the aspect of being able to meet people and talk to people and from other schools, you know, and interact that way. I wish I could find this picture, and maybe it exists somewhere in my parents' house. Our senior year, we were at districts, and they only take four throwers to 4 shot putters to regionals, and the 4 that qualified were all from the Northern Lakes League. And we got a picture, and we have been competing for 4 years. Some of us are 4 years together, and it was cool at our senior years. You know, we all made it. We took this cool picture. Somewhere it exists, and it'd be cool to find it. But I remember I think I was talking to because Dwight was the throwing coach at the time.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think he was the throwing coach for Maumee.
Maumee, yeah, he's throwing coach there for a long time.
Yeah. So, and I'm because when we first met, I remembered him, and we started talking because he knew exactly the kid I was talking about. I was like, yeah, this kid, he had longer hair and it was curly, and he said his name. I can't remember it now. But I like that aspect of track is meeting people. I think that's if I had to go back, I think that's kind of what started me saying like it's okay to like talk to other people and meet new people and not just have my friends and you know and be more out there, you know. Because
things haven't changed in track though. I mean, to the last day I coached here, I mean, all the throwers are like that still.
Yeah.
You know, it's cool going down to the state meet. I remember last time I was at the state meet a couple of years back. I was over at the throws to watch Dwight's son Eric throw.
Yeah.
He was one top in the state. You know, but you had all these guys knew each other. You had the kid from the BG who had graduated the year prior, who was throwing to Indiana, drove all the way back down to Columbus to watch Eric throw.
Oh, wow.
You know, so the connection that those guys have, you know, and I always remember our throwers, you know, always kind of, you know, being around the other schools' throwers and hanging out, you know, after the meets and stuff like that. So you're right, you know, the camaraderie and the interest-based stuff. And that's what I like about the all-star football game in the summertime too. You know, see the kids from the different schools finally get to meet each other.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Monday when you start practices, you see the kids kind of buddy up with the kids from the same school that they're at. But by the time Wednesday comes, you know, you have the kid from Perrysburg walking out with the kid from, you know, Oak Harbor, and the kid from Toledo start walking out with the kid from Holgate or something like that.
Yeah,
you know, so, you know, you kind of like that, you know, those relationships that are built.
Yeah. All right, Scott. Well, thanks again for coming on, man. It's good that now listeners get to see your face after being on several times. I am creeping up. I'll let people know. Hopefully by this time next week, I'll have 10,000 downloads total.
All right. So, congratulations.
Thank you. And getting close to that 100th episode, which I won't say who's booked right now because it could change. But I was pretty excited to who I have on. So, but you know, thanks for always being a supporter. I mean, like you said, you're I'm one of 2 podcasts you listen to, so I appreciate that. And I do, and I've said it a few times. I like when people are like, if I go on a hiatus or something, like, hey, when's a new episode coming out? You know, and that's happened a few times with you, and it makes me like want to keep doing it because I know obviously it's not like super popular, but I know people listen and people want to hear, you know, see coming out.
You've got a great variety of guests that come on, you know, and that share, you know, I love the episode with Matt Langier.
Yeah.
I mean, I think of all the ones that you put on, no disrespect to Ben Marshall. I love you, Ben, but the one with Matt was phenomenal. I mean, just the vulnerability that, you know, that he showed in that, you know, kind of going through his battles, and you know, and likewise with you, and you know, and just, you know, captivating, you know, especially with Matt, you know, a guy that I knew a little bit, you know, just through reputation that you wouldn't necessarily suspect, all that stuff, but you know, just it's great stuff, you know. So seeing all these different perspectives and, you know, the backgrounds on people, how they got to where they've been, you know, it's interesting. Listen to one with Maddie Russell, you know, knowing her from when she was a little girl doing, you know, activities at the parks, and I was running the parks to now. You know, it's been fun to listen to.
Cool. Well, thanks for being a listener. Thanks for being a frequent guest, and I'm sure I'll see you around, man.
Yeah, we talk. We'll be good.
Bye.
All right, see you, man.
Thanks everybody for checking out this episode of the Nerd Ball Podcast. please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're hearing this, on any of the podcatchers. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. We're coming at you 2 times a week now, audio and video. Check us out on all the social medias. Just search the Nerdball Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're out there. Gmail is the nerdballpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to shoot us an email, we'd be happy to get back to you. Thanks to Real JP Multimedia, Cuttlefish Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Big Daddy Graphics for helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.